I borrowed $120,000 against my home for someone I never met. 25 years of work, paid off, and I risked everything for a ghost. My sister begged me not to. I signed the papers anyway. 25 years I paid off that house. Every dollar from plumbing work, every weekend job. It was my security, my pride, my children's inheritance. Now I have a mortgage again at 50 years old. My sister saw it coming. She showed me articles, begged me to stop, cried in my kitchen. I told her she didn't understand. I hung up on her. She hasn't called in 6 months. I should have listened. I met her 6 months after my divorce. She was an aid worker overseas, kind, caring, always asking about my day. She said I was the most genuine man she'd ever met. I believed her completely. The first emergency was $20,000. Medical expenses for her sick mother. Then another $15,000 for a work visa. Then $25,000 for travel expenses. Each request felt urgent, reasonable, necessary. That wasn't the last request. I drained my savings first. Then I took out a personal loan. Then I started looking at the equity in my house. The house I'd promised myself I'd never touch. My sister showed up at my house. She'd driven 3 hours. She said, "I know you're in trouble." I lied to her face. Told her everything was fine. The shame was already too heavy to share. I told myself I was securing our future. The scammer promised we'd buy a bigger house together. She said once her work was done, we'd never need to worry about money again. I believed the fantasy. She said she'd be here in 2 months. Then 4. Then 6. Each deadline passed with a new obstacle. I didn't question why her problems never ended. I was already in too deep to see clearly. The final request was $60,000 for her final visa processing. She said once this was done, she'd be on a plane. I signed the home equity loan papers that afternoon. That was my biggest mistake. Then silence. No more messages. No more calls. The number disconnected. I called her work number. Disconnected. I sent messages into nothing. I'd given someone my house, and they'd simply disappeared. I drove to my sister's house at midnight. I told her everything. The money, the loan, the woman who never existed. She didn't yell. She just cried and said, "I tried to save you." Her tears destroyed me. The FBI agent told me the money was gone. Wired overseas, impossible to recover. My house now had a mortgage again, and I had a monthly payment I could barely afford. I'd risked everything. I met Angela at a foreclosure prevention workshop. She was a housing counselor who'd helped hundreds of families keep their homes. She didn't judge me. She just said, "We can fix this together." Angela helped me refinance the home equity loan into a lower interest rate. She showed me how to budget for the payments. The numbers were still hard, but suddenly I had a path forward. I went back to work. Plumbing jobs every day, weekends too. Every dollar went to the loan payment. I was working harder than ever just to keep the house I'd already paid off once. Angela introduced me to other scam victims who'd lost their homes. Some had lost everything. Their story scared me, but also motivated me. I wasn't going to lose my house. I couldn't. I started teaching plumbing apprentices on the side. Extra income, extra hours. Every dollar from teaching went straight to the loan. I was building my students' careers and my own repayment. My sister started calling again. Short calls at first, just to check in. She didn't mention the money or the scam. She just wanted to hear my voice. I cried after every call. 1 year after the scam, I'd paid off $20,000 of the loan. It was progress. Slow, painful progress. But I was keeping my house. That mattered more than anything. Angela told me recovery starts with honesty. Not just with others, but with myself. I'd made a terrible mistake, but I wasn't a terrible person. I was lonely and desperate for love. I started volunteering at foreclosure prevention centers. Helping others avoid my mistake gave me purpose. Each person I helped felt like paying back a debt I couldn't afford. I learned to spot the warning signs: urgent emergencies, overseas locations, refusal to video chat. I started sharing these signs with my plumbing clients. Many of them were seniors, vulnerable, and alone. 2 years after the scam, I'd paid off $40,000 of the loan. The balance was still large, but I could see the end. My house was still mine. I was still standing. My sister drove 3 hours for my birthday. She brought a cake and didn't mention the scam once. She just wanted to celebrate me. That was the best gift I'd ever received. Angela became a friend, not just a counselor. We'd meet for coffee and talk about housing policy, financial education, scam prevention. She believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. I started dating again. Real dating, with real people. A woman from my church, someone I could actually see and touch. No urgency, no emergencies. Just genuine connection. She knows about my past. I told her everything on our third date. She didn't run. She just said, everyone deserves a second chance. Real love doesn't shame you for your mistakes. 3 years after the scam, I'd paid off $70,000 of the loan. $50,000 to go. I could see the finish line. Every payment was a victory over the shame. I became a certified housing counselor. 50 years old and starting a new career. Angela trained me herself. Now I help people keep their homes. The student became the teacher. I now teach scam prevention at community centers. I show people what I missed, the urgency, the promises, the avoidance of video calls. Helping others protect their homes healed something in me. I still work plumbing jobs, but now I also work as a housing counselor. 2 jobs, both meaningful. Every dollar from plumbing goes to the loan. Every counseling session gives me purpose. The man who borrowed against his home learned that a house is just a building. Home is where people love you. My sister, my new partner, my clients, they're my home now. I still have bad days. Days when I think about the money, the trust one betrayed, the years I lost. But I don't let those days define me anymore. I've survived worse. My sister invited me to her house for Christmas. I sat at her table with her family, laughing and eating together. I'd almost lost this, but I didn't. I held on. 4 years after the scam, I made my final payment. $120,000, paid off. My house was mine again. I stood in my backyard and cried. I'd kept my home. I finally understand why I was vulnerable. Not because I was stupid, because I was lonely. The scammer didn't take advantage of my intelligence. She took advantage of my heart. That's different. I'm 54 now. My house is paid off again. My sister is my best friend. I'm helping others protect their homes. I lost money but found purpose. That's not a bad trade. That's redemption.